Hello, today I'm going to make what we call cheese scones. In some parts of the UK people call them cheese scones, and I gather that in some parts of the world they're very similar to what's called cheese biscuits. Anyway, we call them cheese scones, and I hope you get the idea. So the ingredients that we have are 450 grams of self-raising flour. We've got 160 grams of mature cheddar cheese. We've got 100 grams of butter. This is unsalted butter, but you could use salted butter if you prefer. And we've got 250 mils of buttermilk. The buttermilk is a byproduct of butter that we've also made this morning. If you haven't got buttermilk, not many people make their own butter, I get that. You can use ordinary milk, either full fat milk or semi-skimmed milk, and into it you could put the juice of half a lemon, and that would make the milk tangy, slightly sour, and give the same sort of equivalent properties that the buttermilk gives to the scones. And then we'll be adding a little salt, perhaps a quarter of a teaspoon of salt to the mixture, and we'll be adding a mixture of Parmesan cheese, which is already grated, and a little bit more cheddar, which I'll finely grate into the Parmesan. So that's all the ingredients we need. Oh, and a baking tray. On the baking tray we use this silicone paper, which is great. It's non-stick and you don't have to grease the tin, and it's very good for baking. So that's the ingredients that we need, and that's all the equipment we need, because I'm going to be rubbing in the dry ingredients in by hand. So we don't need a mixture. You could use a mixture to make this and it would be a lot quicker, but not everybody has a mixture handy, mixer handy, so we'll just do it without. So first of all, I'm going to grate the cheese. That's the cheese grated on this lovely chopping board I've just got for my birthday from my sister. It's really, really nice. This is the first time I've used it. And now I'm going to grate the other bit of cheese into the Parmesan with a much finer grater. There we are. So that's the cheese ready, and then the next job is to get the butter incorporated into the flour, and when that's been done we're looking for a texture that looks like coarse breadcrumbs. So the butter's straight out of the fridge and it's still quite cold, which is great. That's what we want. Cutting it up before I start rubbing it in by hand. The cutting up makes the rubbing in job a little bit easier. I'll put the flour in there, the salt in now as well. That's about a quarter of a spoon. Right, so now it's a hands-in job, and rubbing in the butter and the flour. This will take some time. You can see the colour of the flour changing slightly as well as it's incorporating the butter. It's getting more yellow looking, but I can still see lumps of butter in this flour, so I need to keep going a little bit longer till I get that breadcrumb texture that I'm looking for. I think we're there now. I'm not encountering buttery lumps in my fingers now, so that's good. So I'll now incorporate the rest of the ingredients. So first of all, cheese is going in. And we'll incorporate that using a flat knife, an old-fashioned knife. These are good for baking. Cheese incorporated. And now I'll put the buttermilk on in. 250 mils of buttermilk going in. Again, I'll use the knife to try to incorporate the buttermilk. I'm looking for it to come together now and leave the sides of the bowl reasonably clean. It's not quite there yet, and it's incorporated the buttermilk now, so I'm going to add a little bit of ordinary milk just to get that texture, not too much. I'm trying that. See if that's going to be enough to do the trick. I think so. We're coming together in a reasonably clean ball now in the bowl. So I'll have a little clear up now, and then we'll be transferring the scone dough to the bench. And now pop a bit of flour on the bench so it doesn't stick everywhere. And now the dough's coming out. So turn it over because it's a bit floury on the bottom. That's good. I want it to be coming together, but I don't want it to be handled too much. And with a bit more flour on the top there. Because now I'm going to go at it gently with a rolling pin, but we're looking now to spread it out until it's about an inch thick. When I first did scones, I made the mistake of rolling them too thin, and then I wondered why they didn't rise. So this probably will make about a dozen scones. It's probably about an inch there, you'll see. I've got a scone cutter here. If you don't have a scone cutter, you could use a glass or a cup, just something to put a sharp edge down into the dough to cut the shape you want. And another top tip about cutting scones is don't be tempted to twizzle it round when you're cutting it, because that twizzling motion can stop them from rising. So just a sharp cut down. That's okay, that's about an inch. So far so good. Now it's nice that we've got a dozen without messing the dough about. And now I will mess the dough about a bit, but the ones that I make hereafter won't be as good because they will have been handled more. Oh, not a consistent thickness, but it doesn't matter for these extra ones. Better than wasting it. And here we'll just have a couple of weird and wonderful ones. There we go. So they're fine. The next thing we need to do, we'll come to a clean bit of the bench, is to brush them with a bit of milk and then put the more finely grated cheese on the top. So I'm brushing them with milk now. If you haven't got a brush, you could just do this with your fingers. There we go. And now for the finely grated cheese. Remember, this is a mixture of Parmesan and finely grated cheddar. Just put a little bit on each one. Doesn't really matter that it's sitting on the top because it will melt when it's in the oven, hopefully. And it will make the kitchen smell great when they're cooking. Right. So they're now ready to go into the oven. Ours is an electric fan oven, so they'll be going into that at 200 degrees. Because it's a fan oven. If it wasn't a fan oven, I think it would need to be about 220 degrees for about 12 to 15 minutes, but we'll have a look at them after 12 minutes and see how they're doing. If it was a gas oven, I think it would be gas mark 6. So we'll bake them now, and hopefully you can have a look at them later if they're worth looking at. Thank you. Right, so we're up to temperature now. That's 200 for this fan oven. And the scones are going in. We'll check them after 12 minutes. So the cheese scones or scones or cheese biscuits have had 12 minutes. And I'm going to have a look at them. I've got a good oven glove here because they're going to be hot. I think they could do with another minute or two. So the scones or scones or biscuits have had 15 minutes now. Oh, I think that looks more like it. We'll go with that. Now I'm going to transfer them onto the cooling rack. They will be hot, but if I'm quick I should be okay. We'll leave those to cool for 5 or 10 minutes and then we can try one. It's about 10 minutes since we took the scones or biscuits out of the oven, and we're going to try one now. I'm going to try one of the ugly ones. Still warm. Oh, that's pretty good. And I'm going to put a bit of butter on it. Lovely. You can serve these with soup or you can serve them on their own. It will freeze quite well. So I'm going to try one now. Put a bit more of that butter onto that one. It's too much on that one. Try the cheese scone. That's good. Cheesy, buttery, not salty. Some people might think it wasn't salty enough, but for me it's perfect. I'm very happy with those. Thank you.
Hi everyone, Mum has just dropped us off some cheese scones. I'm really looking forward to trying these. I've put a little bit of butter on them there. That is lovely. Thank you, Mum. Nice and light, but with delicious cheese on it as well. So absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much.